Where did you?
Stores are stockpiling goods to prepare for the transition. Now, before we get started, I just want to know if anyone remembers watching the old westerns when the cowboy or the gunslinger would swagger up to the bar, sling a coin across the counter, and ask for another. Chances are that coin would have been a silver dollar. They used real silver coins back then. Between 1878 and 1921, it would have been the Morgan silver dollar, but they went out of circulation when the price of silver went up. They're getting rarer by the day. The Morgan silver dollar is a great coin to start a collection of. So if you want something different and unusual to buy someone for a holiday gift, the Morgan silver dollar might be just the thing. Go to HistoricSilverCoins.com and for a limited time save $5 per coin with the offer code X22. Let's get into the economic collapse financial news. Now, we understand that the plan is to transition into a new economic structure. Now, we know that Q has already told us this. When Q first came online, Q made some posts about the Fed, showed us around the world that the Rothschilds, they control all these banks, and they control the central bank. And the Federal Reserve is immune to U.S. laws. And then later on, Q came out and told us that there's going to be an economic structure change, that gold was going to bring down the Fed. And we can see that the plan is moving forward. Trump, the Patriots, they are using what the central banks normally do. They're using their strategy. And then you have to think, how would they prepare a nation where most of the people are sleeping, where most of the people don't understand what's going on, where something's going to happen and people are going to lose maybe part of their savings, maybe all their savings? I mean, going through this transition, you can't protect the entire population 100%. It's completely impossible. So what do you do to prepare for all of this? How do you prepare the country for a transition? Can you just come out and say, hey, listen, the economy that we're in right now is completely fake, phony, false. It's an illusion. The central banks, they created it. It's their economy. It will never work. And we're going to get rid of it. But as we get rid of it, a lot of people are going to get hurt. Supplies on the shelves, they're going to disappear. Credit's going to freeze up. And we're going to have major, major problems. Well, that wouldn't work. You would have complete panic. People would just be out there going, what are you talking about? I'm going to lose everything. And people would run to the banks and try to take their funds out. And they would, take all the cash they possibly can. And we know that banks don't have the cash. And we know that the Federal Reserve note that we all have in our wallet, that eventually is going to be worthless. So how do you prepare a country for something like this? Well, there are different ways you can do it. One of the ways, most likely that they're doing it, is everything is happening behind the scenes. When we look at tariffs, people look at it like, oh, look, the trade, look what's happening here. We're putting penalties on other countries and things like that. And we know that tariffs are being used to even the playing field between different countries with the U.S. because over many, many years, the deep state, the central bank, they've ruined our trade. And of course, trade needs to change if we're going to transition. So tariffs will be used for that. What if tariffs are being used for something else? What if tariffs are being used to scare retailers into stocking up supplies, thinking they're doing this because they don't want to pay higher costs down the line? Think about this for a second. You can force retailers into packing their warehouses. And we'll be getting into that in just a minute. But before we do, I want to talk about the economy right now. Now, everything is falling apart and it's going to accelerate. Things are going to change dramatically in 2019. Think about what Trump is doing out in the Middle East. This is based on a petrodollar system. As he pulls the troops out of the Middle East, things are going to start to change, because once the people take control of their country, just like Assad now has control over his country, they're not going to be using the dollar in their reserves. Most likely they will not be selling oil using the Federal Reserve note, the U.S. dollar. So this was set up back in the 70s by the deep state, by the central banks. And it's being dismantled right now. So when all the troops start to come home, countries, they're going to run their system the way they want it to be run. And I'm talking about the countries in the Middle East. You're going to see things change very, very quickly. Trump and the Patriots know this. They know that everything is going to accelerate. The people's economy, and I'm not talking about the statistical numbers. I'm talking about the real economy. Things are going to start to fall apart very, very rapidly, most likely in 2019 as the Fed continually raises rates. And we can see it already. If we look at income, spending, savings, they have plunged to the lowest since 2013. And we've been tracking this where in the beginning phase, when you come on to this fiat system, you see inflation, you see high interest rates because you're coming off a standard of gold and you're moving towards, hey, let's just create currency willy-nilly. It makes no difference, and that devalues the dollar. Interest rates are raised, inflation, and everyone thinks that things are getting better because you need more dollars to pay for the same exact thing. At the end of the system, which we're in right now, everything changes. They've already created all the currency. They put us into debt. They put us into global debt like we've never seen before. Wages are not going to be moving up. The debt level is too high for the people to sustain. It's too high for the government to sustain. It's too high for the world to sustain. And this is where everything starts to break down. And that's exactly what we're seeing. We're going to see retail and everything else start to decline even quicker than it is right now. We are going to get a little bump up because of what is happening with the FICO scores. People are going to use a lot of credit during this holiday season. But after this, we're going to see things decline very, very rapidly. We're looking at durable goods, and we can see, and this is washers, dryers, and bigger ticket items, we see that they are declining, and they thought and they expected they were going to be, moving up, but they aren't. They've dropped. And this is going to be a problem moving forward. We also see GDP is being revised. Remember, these numbers, GDP, when you look at unemployment, all they do is manipulate the numbers to make you think that things are okay here. And Trump is doing this on purpose to make the mainstream media, to make the deep state, the central bank, to make them not point the finger at Trump. That's the whole point of this, while they work in the background. Now, retailers, they're very nervous about higher tariffs in 2019. So companies around the country are stockpiling goods. Their warehouses are stuffed to capacity. Now, do you think the American people are just going to go out and buy all that stuff? No. Like I said in the beginning, how do you prepare a nation? And how do you make all these retailers stuff their warehouses to the brim with goods, food, supplies, anything that you would need? Well, you scare them with tariffs. And dozens of companies, including retailers, vendors, customer brokers, supply chain experts, they're all doing it. They're binge buying right now like there's no tomorrow. And the Christmas season, this holiday season, is almost over. So why are they doing this? They're doing it to get prepared. They might not know they're doing this, but I believe this is a plan that was put into place, and they were hoping by saying, look, things are going to be a lot more expensive. Go out and purchase it now. Think about this for a second. We've been saying this for a very long time. When inflation hits, and that means all the reserve dollars come back to the United States, that means there's a lot of dollars floating around in the economy, which means that the prices of items, it's going to go up. Actually, what it really means is that it takes more dollars to buy the same exact thing. So that loaf of bread, that might not be $3, $4, $5. It might be $15, $18, $25. The retailers, the customs brokers, the supply chain experts, and all these individuals, that's what they're worried about with tariffs, that things are going to increase in price. So they're buying them now to make sure they have them now. Now, of course, we know that Trump is working out a deal with China, and he says they're very, very close, and most likely we're going to see a deal. Now, remember, the Trump doctrine is economic security is national security. The plan is both economic and national. How do you assure there's economic security? You give the power of creating currency back to the people. It's that simple. How do you do that? You get rid of the central bank. It's that simple. But you just can't say, hey, let's get rid of the central bank. You can. It's very easy to do so. Any president can do it. But the way to make sure that the central bank doesn't set up shop once again, they might do it, many, many years down the line, you need to show the people what they've been up to. You need to show the people that they're responsible for bringing down the economy. You need to show the people everything. And this will then spark anger. People will be upset. And this is how you get rid of the central bank altogether. It's not just about passing legislation. It's not just about paying them off. It's about making sure the American people understand what the central bank is. Remember, everything that has to do with the central bank and what it really is was completely written out of the textbooks back in 1913. Prior to that, people were taught what the central bank was and how we didn't want one. And over time, what happens is these powerful people come in and they try to maneuver back into power. Again, this is going to happen once again, many, many years down the line. They'll never, ever stop. And they will corrupt some politician. But for right now, the only way to get rid of a central bank is to get the population on the same page, to push the government officials, to push legislation, to push transparency, and then show everyone what they've really been doing, how criminal they really are, treasonous to the United States, how they don't care about the population. This is the only way you can have economic security and national security. So get prepared. The transition is coming. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.